end of the brain. And basically, if you are a person who writes a journal, it's your left side of the brain giving the motivation to the right side. So there are activities like, if they say, if you take a squeezing ball and you squeeze it, it sends neurons to the left side, and the left side of the brain, whatever activity you're supposed to be doing, it stimulates the brain. So you start thinking of those things, but it is the right side that sends you the information. But what sends the information is something that is in the middle of your brain called corpus callosum. That connects, that sends the messages. So what I sent you guys was something where did all this stuff come from? The right brain and the left brain. There was a gentleman, Roger Sperry, in 1968. What he did some experiments on animals, and he cut the corpus callosum off. So what happened? Each brain was acting independently. So he said we could do that on humans, especially humans that were suffering from epilepsy, seizures. So that's what they started doing. And he came up with this, that, oh, both brains can function independently. But later on, there's a Mike Gazzaniga who comes and he says, that's why I sent you the colors. When you see the colors in a sequence, your brain can read it. But when the black is in blue color, your one side of the brain has to work. So you need both sides of your brain to do the job for you. So basically, what I would like, I don't know, did that thing come through, the one for the YouTube? There is, what I would like for you guys to do is go to that channel and look for Severed Corpus Callosum Part 1. This is Mike Gazzaniga, it's amazing what happens. There was a gentleman by the name of Joe. He used to get seizures. And what they did was they cut his corpus callosum off. Now, what he does, that's why when I want you guys, I told you guys to get 2 pencils and 2 pieces of paper. With the right hand, make a square. With the left hand, make a circle. See if you can do it. Let's try it. You have to use both your hands. You use your right hand to draw a square and left hand to draw a circle. See if you can do that. Simultaneously, not with one and then the other. You have to do it together. Right? Both hands have to work together. See your message, you're sending a message. Right brain gets the message to draw a square, it'll draw a square. The left brain gets a message, but to do it together. Nobody can do it. But if you watch that, that means your corpus callosum is together. It's joining both your brains. So both your brains are working together. But if you see this, what this man did, he asked Alan Alda, the actor, to draw the same thing that I asked you guys to draw. And then he asked Joe to draw it. Since both his brains are acting independently, he could draw it. And that tells you, because they are both working independently. But when they showed him, on one side, they showed him an axe. On the other side, they showed him a telephone. Since his one side can see it works better, he said, that's an axe. But he could not see the telephone. He couldn't understand what that was. But he can see it. So his doctor tells him, Joe, draw what you saw. He draws the telephone, which he couldn't his brain couldn't tell. He could not come up with, because this speech is from your left side of the brain. So he could not tell. He could not speak and say that that's a telephone. But his left side of the brain saw it. So he said, draw that for me. He could not draw it with his right hand. He drew it with his left hand. And he drew a telephone. And he could tell that that was a telephone. So this guy works in a farm, but in his daily work, he doesn't have to come across these numbers or these different things. So he's operating okay. But what basically these exercises are telling you, that you need both your brains. Like Mr. Roger Perry said, no one can easily work independently. It does not. Now, how many of you could, when I sent you that colors, when you look at the black, it's written in blue, it takes a while. Because one side of the brain does the numbers, does the words. The other side looks at the color. But when they both have to give information, you can tell if you take a second, but right away you look at it, you cannot tell. So basically what they're saying is, and hey, brain is a very complicated thing. They're still working on it. That everybody, every day they're coming with new things. And it's amazing what this guy is doing, Mike Gazanica. He's been working with this man for the last 30 some years with Joe. And he's trying to see what, and if you guys get a chance, go into YouTube or whatever, and then say severed corpus callosum part 1, and there's part 2. But go with part 1 and see exactly what I'm talking about, because once you see it, my telling you is not as impressive as when you see the person doing it. I tried to send that on, I don't know if you guys got it on the Guru Parivar or not. I tried to send it.
I did not see it. Maybe you did, but I can go back and look.
Okay. Now, basically, now what on left side of the brain, you've got some exercises that you can do. Your exercises are basically, writing. Anything that has to do with logic is your left side function. For instance, if you're writing a journal, you're putting entries, you're spelling the words, all of that uses logic. Without logic, you can't do that. So to make that stronger, you take a squeezing ball on your right hand side, squeeze it, do exercises where you can solve a puzzle. That's also something has to do with logic. Without logic, you cannot do that. Now, things like what they say to make your left side stronger, take a different route to work where your brain has to think. So it makes all of these exercises makes your left side of the brain stronger. Now they say this is to me, it doesn't make any sense. All of you clasp your hands and like the way I did it. Now, which thumb is up?
Right.
All of you can unmute yourself. Unmute.
Right.
Most.
I have left. Right.
Left.
Okay.
Right.
Now fold your arms. Which one is up?
Left. Left. Left.
What will happen in this exercise, once your left hand will go up, the other time your right hand will go up. So it doesn't make any sense when people say, you're a right brain or you're a left brain. You are a brain. You need both sides to be a full brain. So now they say if you're a left-hander, your right hand side is strong. But majority of the people, 90% are right-handed people. But you're saying that an artist that's a right-handed, who writes with right hand, he's logical, he's mathematician, No, he's not. So this stuff actually was in 2013. They started talking about that there is no such thing as left brain and right brain. It is your brain. You need both sides to work. It makes sense?
Yeah, that 2013 study was published actually.
Published, yes, it was
That
published.
was the article
And
which
this was in Dartmouth, I think it was in New Hampshire somewhere. No, Utah. Utah.
Yeah,
It was
and
that's
very interesting. Yeah.
Right.
The only one thing I'd like to add to what Chhaya's given you several exercises just for the heck of it, for trying. There were 3 that came across. The first one was like write about it. Anything,
anything, right?
You write about, you retain in your memory, you retain in your brain when you write. By just reading, always I used to get this, like, when you read a story and when you retell it, there is a difference. You can read a story, it makes sense. When you retell it, it makes a lot more retaining. So write about everything. Very often I make lists for everything. I go to the grocery store, or what has to be done today, everything, make a list. The second one, which I liked a lot, is solve a puzzle. And I know Viju Singh has always talked about this. And she and I are big Sudoku fans.
See, Raji, the other thing that Viju Singh says, to go do a circle and a square, you can't do it.
Right.
No matter what happens, you will not be able to do it because you've got your corpus callosum all together. Once it's severed, you'll be able to do it.
Right. So when you're trying to solve a puzzle, pick up word puzzles, like the crossword puzzles may be hard for you. Pick up especially the New York ones, go to simple ones. And solving a puzzle is like a crossword puzzle, a Sudoku. Try your brain at some Sudoku. Solve the mystery. Another thing is, when you're watching movies, how many of you try to guess what's going to happen? That's again a brain activity. You're trying to tell, you're watching a scene, oh, okay, now this is going to happen. And sometimes something else happens. What I'm saying is, even when you're watching TV, keep your mind active. You're watching TV for fun, but it doesn't hurt to just activate. So the 3 main exercises, like Chhaya said, was write about it, solve a puzzle, and plan a new way to work.
And one other thing, Raji, your brain never stops.
Yes.
It's functioning all the time. Even if you're not speaking anything, it's still functioning.
And very often they talk about this during sleep, when they call Rem sleep and deep sleep. And all those things are related in a way to the brain functions. Rem sleep is where the dreams, you have the dream phase, and you go through a phase where your eyelids will be, you can watch. There are some, when you're sleeping, the eyelids are moving inside. The eyes are shut, they're tight, they sleep, but the eyelids are moving inside. Not eyelids, eyeballs.
Eyeballs are right.
Eyeballs are moving. So these little things, and Viju Singh's exercises, oh my God, they activate your brain. She does so much for the body, but by watching her and thinking about what she's saying and doing it, has a complete effect on, from your head to your toes. You're moving your body, you're doing everything, but your mind and head, you're watching, you're learning. So I think it's great. So
I'm glad to know. Oh, sorry. I'm glad.
Go ahead, Viju.
Am I unmuted?
No, you're not. You're not.
I'm on mute?
No, you're not.
You're on mute.
Okay.
Go ahead, Viju. Go ahead.
I'm glad to know that you guys are wondering what I'm doing, because that's what makes your brain work. And like I've said, I just do what at that point, I mean, I know what I'm working on, like for spine, for example, but I don't practice beforehand any of the moves. So my brain works to say, okay, now do this, now do that. So like I've told you, do what I do something that you want to do. You want to laugh at my silliness, go ahead. It's fun actually. Half the fun is in laughing, guys, and not be serious when you do these exercises, because that also, that connection to the brain goes. How do we laugh? The brain has to tell you to laugh, right?
So when Viju used to come to the Y, remember she'll always say, "Muj par haso, haso, sab log haso." I used to always find that so funny because she used to always say, "You don't have to laugh at me, laugh at me. I'm funny," and this and that. So, but basically, you're stretching all the muscles on your face.
Right.
Every time you smile, all these muscles are getting exercised. It was so wonderful.
Not only that, but the connection to the brain, because your muscle can't do anything without the brain's that connection to it.
Okay? That's what another experiment they showed. Two kids, one of them had the corpus callosum severed and the other one didn't. And she could not recognize the keychain sitting, and they're sitting there, but she can't pick it up and say, this is the keychain. So your brain functions like when you have to, everything has to register, and each side has its own function, and then it comes together.
And I learned this the hard way when my brain was damaged and hurt and everything. There was, even today, so many people will come and say this and say that, no recollection at all because the left brain is damaged. So you can't do anything. But at the same time, new connections are made. It'll, come back.
Every day there are new connections made. Like the heart makes new arteries, the brain does the same thing.
That's why they say eat a lot of bhindi in India. It's great food.